because I was a little sad last night, but here's why. So this is a very weird reversal. Let me give the concerns about the Chiefs and then respond to what you said. What makes the Chiefs special is they don't blow games like last night. While they maybe don't blow teams out as often as the Lions or the Bills over the last few years, they have a 14-0 lead. They win that game.
Yeah.
And so that was disappointing. And the penalties and the special teams mistakes, that was a bad loss.
Yeah.
That could hurt them it does hurt them in the standings and seating and all of that. But your bigger picture point, which is over the last 2.5 games, from the second half of the Giant game to right now, that offense looks the best it has looked in 3 years. And they're getting Rashee Rice back. Patrick finally trusts his offensive line. And once Rashee comes back, it will be the best collection of pass catchers they've had since Tyreek was on the team. So all of that is super positive. They need a more consistent running game, and they need a better pass rush without having to send a blitz.
You know what?
But go ahead.
There is one thing, and I said this, you have to make choices as a team. So when you pay Chris Jones and Mahomes and Kelsey, what they have right now is they have a youth problem, and they're putting guys on special teams, and they're trying to teach them how to play football. And it's
Correct.
and by the way, Buffalo, you've got to make choices. They can't defend the run. Because Detroit's front office is great, and because they've hit on so many stars in the first round, Detroit's offense is literally a Pro Bowl offense. But it's hard, and so I think they're playing. I watched them last night, and I'm like, these are correctable mistakes when these guys have played 12 NFL games or 15. They're just making 23-year-old guy mistakes. Jacksonville's mistakes, I've watched that for 20 years. That's who they are.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, Jacksonville has a new coaching staff now, so that doesn't make any sense. I don't care what they did 20 years ago. But with the Kansas City Chiefs, obviously Nick saying that he was a little sad last night. And first things first, isn't officially on TV today because of the baseball playoffs, MLB playoffs, which I'm sure everyone is watching right now. Yeah, it's interesting. The conversation around the Kansas City Chiefs is so interesting because Nick actually said pretty much what I had said earlier today and what I said last night in the post-game reaction about how the Chiefs have been able to win and, how they don't make these mistakes, etc., etc., etc. But then here we see it happening. Here's the one pushback, though. And again, I have the Kansas City Chiefs as a top team. I have them as in a top-tier team. I have them with the Eagles, the Lions, the Bills, and the Chiefs. That's what I actually really truly believe in. But saying, "Oh, this offense has looked the best that it has in for forever." You play the Giants, who are not good. You can give me all the reasons why you think that the Giants are actually good and that their defense is actually good, and I'll say I don't care about any of that. The Giants are not a good team. They're just not. Okay? They also gave up a gajillion points to Dak Prescott and the Dallas Cowboys. They're not a good team. Russell Wilson was a terrible quarterback. So it's just none of that means anything to me, truly. And then against the Baltimore Ravens, CJ Stroud and the Houston Texans looked like they were Tom Brady and the undefeated New England Patriots. Okay? I mean, it was just a frenzy of feast. So that doesn't mean anything to me. It just really doesn't. And with the Kansas City Chiefs, specifically last night against the Jags, it's I'm looking at things more situationally. I do believe that obviously as soon as you incorporate Rashee Rice here, that this offense will transform. And once the passing game is more reliable, the run game will also then become more reliable. I still think that there's plenty of juice left with Pacheco, Kareem Hunt, etc., 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 using Xavier Worthy in the run game. I think once you get Rashee Rice back, you'll have more versatility. Seems like Xavier Worthy is also not technically 100% healthy. But I think just what really, I think really what the real true take here is with the Kansas City Chiefs, and this is a little bit what I had said in my Herd video, is that this is the best possible year for them to have this mess that they're in right now, with obviously not having a great record, having the issues with injuries and suspensions and whatnot. because when you just look around the league, I mean, like, let's just even look at this list right now. We don't even have to look at the other teams, but like, we'll just throw in the Bengals and the Ravens just because obviously they're injured, missing quarterbacks, et cetera, et cetera. If this was any other year, we know at a minimum the Ravens would at least be a competent team. I mean, come on, they earned that right, okay? And now you're talking about the Eagles, who are dealing an issue with their offensive coordinator. The Bucks, listen, the Bucks are definitely playing well, definitely, but I mean, let's call it what it is. They beat the Texans, the Falcons, the Seahawks, and they lost to the Eagles. So it's just like, okay, like let's not pretend like there's some absolute juggernaut of a team. Same thing with the Bills, right? They beat the Ravens, who, when that was the best version, to be fair, in week 1, that was the best version of that team. But then they beat the Jets, the Dolphins, right? And then the Packers. It's like, everybody got mega high on the Packers. Everyone was like, "Oh my God, the Packers are the best team in the league. They're about to take over." And then they were like, "Maybe that was just a rough game week 1 for the Lions." And then they were like, "Yeah, they beat the Commanders, but the Commanders are kind of dealing with their issues right now. They're not some juggernaut team." Then they lose to the Browns. Then they get in this weird back and forth with the Cowboys, and they're like, "Okay, the Packers are a good team. They're a good team. They deserve to be considered a top team in the NFL, but maybe not this absolute." Juggernaut. And then it's the same thing with all the other teams we can list. The Rams, the Colts, the 49ers. It's just like, you're just kind of like, yeah, these teams are pretty good. Yeah, they're pretty good. The Bucks, they could have lost 4 or 5 games. The Eagles could have lost 4 or 5 games. The Broncos could have lost 4 or 5 games, right? The Colts could have lost 3 more games or so, I think. They could have lost to the Broncos. Trying to think of what other close game, but it doesn't matter. You understand what I'm trying to say. The Rams could have beat the Eagles, but they lost. They could have lost to the Colts. Like, we're in so many of these in-betweeners right now, to the point where it's just messy. It's just genuinely messy right now. It really is. And I'm actually a firm believer in trying to figure out these shoulda, coulda, woulda situations. It's something that fans always want to dismiss. And I get it. I get why. I really do. But it is important to kind of look beyond just the outcome. If you want any evidence of this, just go through the last 15 years of the standings and let me know how many times the team with the best record just kept winning and winning and winning, and how many times we just got 1 seed versus 1 seed in the Super Bowl. Or it's just, we just know it's not that straightforward. We know that. So you can't just always look at it through the outcome lens. But right now, like, I do think it's fair to genuinely say, yeah, the Bucks, they could have lost to the Falcons. They should have lost to the Falcons. They should have lost to the Texans, right? And then you have the Eagles game, and you're like, yeah, CeeDee Lamb catches that ball. They could have lost to the Cowboys. The Chiefs, that, bizarre interception with Travis Kelce, like, that changes the game. I don't really know who ends up winning that game, because that game still kind of was really muddled and ugly. It didn't really come down to a single play. But you're just like, I don't know how that game ends up. I don't know. So it's just, yeah. There's just so many of these in-between situations, and even teams now that have won more convincingly in other aspects, like the Packers or the Lions, you're not necessarily going to just automatically say, why I feel better about those teams over the Bills, the Eagles, the Chiefs, right? Like, you're just not going to be like, well, since this team beat the Bengals by a lot of points, or this team beat the, whatever by more points, therefore that team is better. It's not the way how I view things. And I think the Chiefs especially have shown this over the years. Just this idea of like, oh, wow, you struggled to beat the Chargers, who are decimated with injuries. Then you struggled to beat you lost to the Raiders, actually, who have an interim head coach and a third string quarterback. And and then you struggled to beat the Panthers, who are a mess of an organization, right? And the Bills, well, they beat this team by a ton. And then the Ravens, and, they dominated the, insert whatever team. But then when these teams play each other, just like, phew, Who makes the plays when it matters most? Like, that's really what football is just really becoming about more and more and more. Just, do you make the play or not? And I feel like I say that phrase now so frequently because that's really what it just gets boiled down to now. Like, I talked about this, and I saw Colin briefly talked about it as well, that this season, this past week, there was 6 double-digit come-from-behind wins. Like, that's insane. And someone would have to look it up, but, like, so many of the games throughout this season now are one-score games. And like I talked about before, it's majority of football games, I think it's technically a majority, but it's obviously a ton, are one-score games. But, like, it's like, yeah, they're one-score games technically, right? You're a team's winning by 10, and it's like 3 minutes to go in the third quarter, and then a team, like, you know, kicks a field goal or gets a touchdown. Like, it's not really like, oh man, this game is in the balance necessarily. Like, one team is clearly still firmly rooted in the driver's seat, right? That's not how these games have been unfolding. It's literally just been like, oh gosh, I don't know what's gonna happen in the final 3 minutes of this game. Like, I don't even know if it's gonna be the team who has the ball, right? Like, oh gosh, who knows? Like, it just is coming down to just crazy things. Oh, did the clock stop at 2:03? Now they get that extra timeout. Like, that changes that. I mean, everything is so fragile right now. It's insane to me. It's stressful to watch, but it's amazing to watch. And so that's what I think we're witnessing right now. And when that's the league that we're facing right now, where the Ravens don't have a dominant offense and a great defense, where the Bills' offense is just so suffocating and their defense is also really great, and that the Eagles are able to run all day long, and that the Lions just feel like they are truly like, hey, we are unstoppable on offense and defense, can't touch us. And Matthew Stafford's just on one, and him and Sean McVay, Puka Nacua, and old school Cooper Kupp are just, let's get after it, right? Like, you don't have that. The Broncos are building something. The Bucks are building something. The Packers are building something. The Eagles are trying to extend. The Bills are trying to extend. The Ravens are non-existent. The Rams are trying to retool and rebuild. The Colts are kind of like, hey, this is weird being here. Like, what's up? What's this like? And then you have the Chiefs, and it's just like, hey, we've been here a million times. You wanna see who can win ugly, close, muddled up games? Well, that's kind of what we do best. So it's just a fascinating year. Any other year, the Chiefs would be, as the cool kids say, cooked. But because of the way how this season has unfolded, because of teams like the Chargers getting decimated with injuries, the Ravens being decimated with injuries, the Bengals losing Joe Burrow, like, the door is just so open. And I do believe that the Chiefs are going to get better. And then if they find themselves in the playoffs, even if we just use these playoff teams right here, specifically the AFC, what is he? He only has a couple AFC teams, right? He's got the Broncos, the Colts, and the Bills, right? And the Chiefs, so that'll be 4-4. You look at it and say, I don't know, if the Chiefs and the Colts played right now, who you got? And I think it's amazing what the Colts are doing right now. Absolutely amazing. I think Daniel Jones should be the MVP leader right now. Like, what he's doing with the Colts and all of that, absolutely. But if you're talking about the Colts versus the Chiefs right now, winner take all, I mean, I don't know. You'd be hard pressed to say, I like the Colts over the Chiefs. Like, it just, I don't know, man. Just don't see it. And the Bills and the Chiefs, Bills are still the exact same Bills team. So I'm just like, I don't know, man. Bills versus the Chiefs, like, I don't know, man. It seems like that Bills defense will give up a ton of points to Patrick Mahomes. And then will the Bills be able to make the play when it matters most? Will their players actually catch the ball? Will Cook be able to rush for over 100 yards against the Chiefs? Or will he have 12 carries for 45? You know, like, what's the story there? I don't know. Packers seem great. I'm a huge believer in the Packers. Huge believer in the Packers. I don't know how Jordan Love and the Green Bay Packers are going to fare against Spags and the Kansas City Chiefs. I got no idea. I don't know how they're going to handle that. They've never done it before. I've never seen them do it before. The 49ers, Brock Purdy, Mac Jones, who's the quarterback? I don't know. So, like, those are the question marks. And if there's a ton of question marks about everything, it's like, I lean not towards doubt. I lean towards more skepticism and optimism. Skeptical optimism. Optimistic skepticism. Put it on a shirt. And so, yeah. But as of right now, and this is what I'll keep repeating, this will be my take, and I'll end here. It just very much feels like the Kansas City Chiefs are going to get healthier and less suspension oriented as the weeks go on, while other teams will slowly start to get injured and wear down. The Chiefs will get stronger. They'll enter the playoffs. They can still even win the division. And even if they don't, there's a great chance that, yeah, they'll be the lower seed, but they'll be the better team. And, you know, there was a real chance that the Ravens were going to be a lower seed than the Steelers, but the Ravens were clearly a better team than the Steelers, and it wasn't even particularly close, right? Like, we have situations like that all the time. And so it'll be, yeah, it'll be interesting to see how this officially unfolds with all of that. Because I will be curious to see, but it's, again, we're only going into week 6. We still got plenty of time, plenty of curveballs. I mean, if this first 5-6 weeks have shown us this, it's just expect the unexpected this year. So it's going to be a fun ride. But those are just my thoughts. I'd absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think about Nick feeling sad and excited about the Kansas City Chiefs moving forward? Let me know in the comments below. I read every single comment, so whether you agree with me or disagree with me, either way, let's get in some discussions, let's get in some fights, but ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We are building an amazing community here, and I absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all genuinely feel connected to, something that we're really excited to be part of. I think we're well on our way to doing it. Please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help with the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much. See you next time.